Okay, everybody, so we're back. We had some technical problems with the internet, but we're back now. Everything's been resolved. So, yeah. All right, I forget. I think there was something you were trying to make a comment about
I
before
was pretty
we.
much just shitting on Blade Runner, so I think we
Yeah.
can move on from there.
Okay.
It wasn't
So,
important.
yeah. That was a fun discussion. But, okay. So then, yeah, as we continue with the plot, so we see that Douglas works with this guy, Jason Whitney. And so Jason Whitney is like another version of Ashton that we saw, who's in the simulation. And so Jason Whitney's a programmer. He looks very programmery.
Oh yeah.
Did he have a ponytail? Right? Yeah, like he had a
He didn't
ponytail.
have a ponytail, but he did have long hair. Looked a little unwashed, a little neurotic, obsessed with whatever it is he's doing. Very of the time period.
Yeah.
He's the guy who'd be in the van telling you to turn left at that corner, turn right at that corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like on the thing, like I'm hacking into the to the lights right now.
I'm hacking into the mainframe. It's gonna take me 30 seconds. I need it now. That guy.
Yeah.
We all love that guy.
Yeah, we like that guy. And so yeah, he basically talks about like, yeah, we've been working on the simulation technology. Yeah, and so then we find out later on too that the will of Hammond Fuller was. Oh, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Are you still there?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm
sorry. This is my fault.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I think it's better now. But yeah, so I was saying, so like later on we learned that so Hammond Fuller, he like right before he died, his will got amended so that everything was given to Douglas Hall, which is like really shady. Which is like really shady. Yeah, super convenient. And we're like, didn't give it to his daughter, gave it to Douglas Hall, and it's like, I don't know about that. So Douglas Hall, I think at some point like he figures out, okay, something is inside of the simulation I need to find that's going to give me some clues.
I think he had a conversation with Whitney where he was just like, "What do you mean Fuller's has been jacking in? I didn't think we were at that point." And then that's when Whitney's like, "No, we have been the whole time."
Yeah, we've created the simulation. He's like, "Do you want to go in?" Well, I think he's like, "You probably shouldn't go in." He's like, "No, I have to go in." And yeah, Douglas Hall then. So what do you think of the sequence where like we first go into the simulation?
Oh, like the little, like, it zooms in on his eye or whatever. Yeah. Oh, it's very classic of the time period. I feel like it's always zooming in on somebody's eyeball, and then we're seeing what jacking in is like from their perspective. Very of the time period. There's always some kind of... Period. I would love a YouTube compilation of all of those scenes from all of these movies.
You know, the compilation, like, it's been fun watching these because it's like, there's so many things that... basically we've kind of evolved and the ideas of cinematically how to express. So we watched Stargate and we watched Contact, and both of those, they kind of deal with going through like basically a wormhole.
Yeah, essentially.
And we talked about Interstellar. Yeah, we did Interstellar.
Yes, we did.
And Interstellar's wormhole is like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting to see that both of them are doing the same thing. And actually, I saw the other day, I saw this really fun. So basically, the people who worked on Contact, they also worked on Doctor Strange, that movie. And there's this moment in Doctor Strange or something, I forget. It's been a long time. I've only seen that movie like once. Not that I don't like it, but I haven't wanted to go back to it. But something happens to Doctor Strange where he's like kind of teleported through something. And what they do is exactly the same as what happened to Jodie Foster in Contact when she like goes through the wormhole at first, like really goes through it. And it was done by the same VFX team, so they did both. And it's really it's really funny to see how they did it. Basically, 20 years later, it's like the same sequence, and it looks like, you know, the one in Doctor Strange is way. There's just more to it, the way that they warp what's happening to him, and he's like, oh, you know, and all this stuff. But so yeah, it's just interesting that we're just kind of iterating over the same ideas over and over, and then they just evolve over time. But like, yeah, like basically the cinematic language is we're gonna go into your head.
Yeah, exactly. We have to express what it's like for someone to go into a virtual reality but see it from their perspective. Oh, okay. That doesn't sound difficult or anything.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And also, like, it had all these like weirdo lights and stuff. It's like a light show. Oh my god!
It's so a little dated.
Like, yeah, it's like, okay, so we're going into a club or something.
We're gonna go clubbing, basically. In your
like
mind.
These green lights, like, so the green light is gonna put me into the Matrix. Okay.
Hey, I mean, they seem to know what they're doing, so
they do. I mean, they invented the technology. I'm just a simpleton here. Okay, so yeah, so then he goes in and he's put into this body of himself as a bank teller, and he's like handing out money to people. He's like, whoa, I'm in 1930s Los Angeles.
Yeah, he kind of nerds out for a minute. He's like, oh, this is kind of cool.
I mean, his clothes are cool. I like that. Yeah. I really like the way that they depict the time period. I think they did a great job.
It's kind of got that sepia tone almost to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. There's a lot of stuff that I think was like very effectively done. Yeah, and then he just like quits his job basically. He doesn't quit. He just like, I'm gonna let me take a break.
I'm gonna go into free player mode.
Yeah, exactly. And his boss is like, hey, why don't you go to lunch? He's like, yeah, I'll take an extended lunch.
I'll take an all-day lunch. Cool.
Yeah. And so then he's looking for this person, Bridget Manila. And so then that takes him, you know, he goes driving around town trying to find this woman. He's talking to people. The thing I really like too is like, you know, there's so many, one of the fun things is about, you know, the stuff like this is like, where did he go? He went somewhere. I forget the name of the town he went to. But like he's talking to someone and they're like at a shack. They're like it's like the outskirts of town, which is like now today it's a metropolitan, massive, sprawling city.
Well, yeah, because it's also still like we were saying before, it's still the Great Depression. They used to call little shack villages like that Hoovervilles.
Yeah, Hoovervilles. Yeah, exactly. So he went to his local Hooverville to like find some information, and you know this woman's like, you know, I forget what they call that, like when you manually wash the clothes on that device. The board. Yeah, the board. Yeah, the washing board, is that what it's called?
I think it's actually just called a washing board. Yeah,
washing board. Yeah.
My mom had an antique one for a long time. She never used it for what it was meant. It was just an antique decorative piece thing.
Yeah, I mean that's talk about a different era. So then he finds out basically from this woman that he meets, like where there's some club, basically there's an upscale club, and that's where he's gonna find this woman. And he goes there and they're like practicing dancing or something. You know, she's like a dancer, and finds Ashton there, the bartender. And he asks him like, hey, you know, does someone like leave a note here? And he's like, no one left a note, blah, 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 this and that. So he like lies to him. I forget. So like after that, he kind of, does he run out of time? Is that what happened?
Yeah, so he can only be in the program for a certain amount of time. If
2 hours.
There too long, 2 hours max. And if he's there for longer, his brain could get like.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, he could get like fried or stuck.
His real brain can lie.
Oh, are you back?
I'm here.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah.
I can hear you.
What was it that you were saying? If you could repeat it.
I think it's interesting. Ashton has the ability to lie.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's maybe how they were programmed, that they have the capability to lie, or if that's something in Ashton's own virtual reality evolution. But I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting. They're not just automatons or whatever. They have some real free will, which is like another kind of.
Yeah, maybe he's accessing his free will for the first time.
Yeah. So at this point, I kind of want to, let's have, I guess, a meta discussion. So this film, it's a lot like The Matrix. It's a lot like Dark City. It's a lot like The Cell. And to be honest, there might be other ones. Like I haven't seen them yet, but we may explore them later on in the series. What the hell was going on in the late 90s where this was, in the early 2000s, where this was like such a thing, where it's like the idea of like a virtual reality and us accessing it through some type of machine. Was it just like the internet, the early versions of the internet? Was it like people thought that VR technology was going to really, really take off? Was it maybe just our, I don't know, fears or thoughts or something? I guess, what are your thoughts?
I think it was definitely fear-based in a lot of ways because most of these movies don't have a happy ending. Most of these movies don't really have... I mean, most of the time in these movies, they're trying to get out of wherever it is they're stuck or going. Like, the destination turns out to not be that great. Or the world that you have assumed, in the case of The Matrix, like, Neo has basically gone most of his life, at least, accepting that this is the real world until he gets on some chat forums and finds out, no, this is not the real world. It's a freaking chat forum. Because in real life, Neo would just be some crazy person living in his basement. So. Yeah,
he's kind of on a path, right? Because like he's checking out these people who are basically terrorists, and he's like kind of into it.
Yeah, so that's kind of shady in a lot of ways. I feel like we kind of gloss over that aspect of his character, but the thing about The Matrix is that it has a prophecy in a way, like the one, like you are the one that we've been waiting for. You're Harry Potter, you're Wizard Harry. Like prophecy has always been it's always been the hook, and we have to root for our hero in some way. So I think that's what kind of sets The Matrix apart from a lot of these movies, is that we have heroes in them, but Neo's the one. Neo is the chosen one, literally. But yeah, I think a lot of people were just scared of technology advancing. But I also feel like a lot of these movies were being written by younger people who were going to be experiencing it the most. But yeah, I don't know. I think people are always afraid of something new and very scary. And again, most of the time, our heroes are trying to get away from whatever the simulation actually is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's I think a lot of it's just like questioning your reality too. I think it's also, the other thing about the internet is that it just kind of like it gave people access to a lot of information.
Oh yeah, a lot of information at once, and I think it kind of I think it's really scary for a lot of people. Yeah. Like, you can read about all of the great things in the world on this phone, or you can learn about a lot of really terrible things too.
Yeah, or you can get into a rabbit hole of like stuff that's just not true, even.
Which I think is only just getting worse.
Yeah.
We have so much access to knowledge, but nobody seems to really be using it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's really a choose your own reality kind of thing. Or questioning your reality and then going into a different reality. Like that's what kind of comes to my mind a lot. Because and I feel like that was a really kind of prescient thing too, because I mean that's what people really kind of do now. They choose their own reality. They're like, I want to live in the reality where COVID isn't real. And I just want to act like it's not a thing. There's tons of people who think that way.
Yeah, I watch a YouTuber who, she did a live stream not too long ago, and it really pissed me. I'm going to keep watching her because I like her, but like she said something that really pissed me off, which was like, I live in such a small town. We've had no COVID cases. It hasn't really affected me. I haven't lost a year of my life. And I'm like, that's nice because some of us had no choice.
Yeah, we had no choice.
It really, really pissed me off.
I mean, some people are dead.
Yeah, some people are literally, people have lost loved ones, like people have lost their jobs, their homes. So I'm really happy that it didn't affect you. But the way that you say it so candidly, it makes me think you live in a freaking bubble.
Yeah.
And the real world doesn't affect you in any way whatsoever. And that just really irritates me when people choose to live inside these bubbles of, I don't want to say necessarily ignorance, but it will never happen to me. Well, I guess that is ignorance actually in a way. it'll never happen to me. I don't know anyone who's sick, therefore it's not real. And it's like, that's kind of the problem.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, again, these films are kind of touching on that, which is like all of them, it's either you're going into a different reality or like your reality is fake or something's not real about it. And it's like, oh, well, if you go here, you can get the real reality. But maybe that real reality is another fake reality. How do you know? How can you know? How can you know it's true? Right?
How can you ever know? Even the Truman Show kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, what is your real reality? How do you know you're not just someone in a game or a TV show being watched by people?
The Truman Show is another great example of this.
Because it's not virtual reality, but it's something almost more sinister. I feel like, I think it's actually way more sinister. I was gonna make a point, but now I can't remember. God damn.
Yeah, the Truman Show is almost like the doomer, the really, really doomer take on it. It's like, you know, it's like, you're a special little snowflake in the sense that the world is manipulated around you to keep you ignorant. You know, so it's really dark. Like the Truman Show is really fucking dark.
It really is dark. And I've always said, like, he'll never have a normal life. He's never going to be able to trust another person ever.
He needs to meet that woman. Remember that woman who was like trying to get him out? Yeah. That's like the one person. He needs to meet her.
What does the world look like outside of the Truman Show, though? Is it like, are there flying ships? Are there flying cars? Like, are interstellar travelers yet? Like, that's the thing. We know nothing about what the real world is like. We assume it's like the world he lives in, but is it though?
It really feels like they kind of make the case that the world is our world, and it's like, but because like, you know, remember the ending of that movie, like it's so weird. It's basically like the show's over, and they're like, okay, let's go watch Friends. Let's go watch, you know, Seinfeld, or let's go watch The Simpsons. Like, it's just another thing.
Move on to the next.
Easily move on to the next thing. And you know what's kind of crazy too? Like, to be honest, like the way that I think about it, I really feel like, honestly, like in that universe, what would happen is they would just jack someone else into that system. Yeah. Season 2.
It's the Ed Show now.
yeah, or it's like what's another president? I don't know. It's the Eisenhower Show or some shit, you know, some mess up.
Yeah. Only we'll make it in a third world country or something.
It's the Kennedys. Yeah, some messed up. Like, I really honestly feel like that's what happened next.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. It's. But yeah, I don't know. It was, and that movie came out in what, 98?
Yeah, similar to the late 90s, I would guess. Yeah, I think people were scared of what the internet could do to us eventually over time. And before we started streaming, you were just like, yeah, we didn't get virtual reality. We got social media instead. Yeah, which is just as terrifying because, again, you can be whoever you want to be. Like, you can make a stock account and be someone totally different.
Yeah. It's an even better version because it is virtual reality. Mm-hmm. It is. Like, Facebook can dictate what's in your feed. Mm-hmm. They can change it. They could make it so that in your feed, all you see is stuff that makes you depressed. They can actually do that. They can tweak your mood, and then they can show you stuff that makes you really happy, or they can show you stuff that makes you hungry or something. You know, makes you want to buy food. Makes you think about, ooh, my room is messy. I think I need to buy this thing to sort out my clothes. I need to buy bins. Oh, here's a bin ad. I'll go buy that.
Go to the what is it? The box store, the bin store. There's some kind of store where it's just a whole bunch of different like types of bins you can just get.
Yes, I actually went to one of those once in Vegas. Me and my girlfriend were in Vegas. Yeah, it was like a box store. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all they have are different boxes. That's it. It's boxes. Yeah, crazy. Yeah, we were talking about it. Yeah, like you were saying before we were streaming, is just like the companies, they want you to have awareness that they exist. They want you to know, oh, the box store exists. Mm-hmm. So come to us and buy your box. And so so when you're talking on your phone It's like, oh yeah, like I got all this stuff, I need to like sort it out and like put them in boxes. Boom, and then they send the ad to you.
Yep.
Right into your feed.
And I'm like,
crazy.
Just go to Walmart.
It's kind of like what was that movie? Minority Report. Minority Report had this thing where it was individualized advertising, so they would like scan your eye and they'd see, oh, you're this person, and oh, hey, John Smith, go buy some shoes. We saw that your shoes are 2 years old. Buy a new pair of shoes. That's Facebook. Honestly,
pretty much.
That's Facebook. That is Facebook.
So it's so creepy.
It's absolutely. All right, so back to the plot. Then Douglas meets with Jane, and they have this is another funny thing too. So she says this thing like, oh, it's deja vu. We've met before, and she's like, oh, deja vu is a sign of love at first sight. And this is another because
Sorry.
I like how you're just like the most unromantic person. You're just like
fuck
that. You're like fuck that.
Okay, if he was just like, hey, I'll buy you food, I'd be like, yeah, that's my kind of guy. But if he's just like, love at first, I just think it's bullshit. There's no way. It's, you think she's hot. You think he's hot. And more of actually all of this will be explained later. But like, I guess I'm just not a romantic person.
Yeah. No, well, that's fine. But yeah, I brought up deja vu because like that's the thing in the Matrix too.
Right? Yes, it is. When you see the black cat twice, it's a sign. What is it? What does it represent though in the Matrix? Though?
In the Matrix, it means that they've changed it.
Okay.
They've changed the Matrix. So like, if for instance in that they changed the Matrix at the building they were in, they couldn't get out. Like they changed all the so that you can't get out the window. So the cops could come and kill him. But yeah, in this world, deja vu means that you maybe know more about the person. Yeah.
Or encountered their avatar before.
Yeah.
It might not because it might not be them who's controlling that avatar. It might be somebody totally different. But
exactly, yeah. But they still have that memory? Or something?
People still don't know what deja vu is. You know what I mean? In our world and in this reality, God, I hope this is reality. For all its faults.
Yeah.
We still don't really know what deja vu is anyway, so use it however you want because we don't know what it is. Do what you want with it. Yeah. It's a phenomenon, and you do whatever you want with it. Basically, it's like time travel. We think it works this way, so we'll just work around that.
We don't know. Mm-hmm. Exactly. You just kind of make up your own rules, really, with time travel. So then, like after that, like a couple things happen. So like, I think he meets this guy Tom Jones, and he was the guy at the bar when we saw him and Fuller get killed.
Yeah.
And he basically tries to extort Douglas. He's like, okay, what do you say? I want 6 figures or some shit.
He says he wants some like unreasonable amount of money.
Yeah. He's like, I want 6 figures a month.
Like, dude, you're probably hopped up on uppers and some shit with angel dust. So like, get out of here. Like,
he did look like he was on PCP or some shit. Yeah. And they basically get into a fight. They get into a confrontation.
They get into a little scuffle.
Yeah, he's like, "You're crazy, man. You're crazy." He just like walks away. Tom Jones. And then so later the detective is just on his ass, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting closer to the case." He's like, "Man, it's like I got X amount of time before I make the case on this guy. I just need to figure out."
My one question is like he actually did have a lot to arrest him for, or at least keep bringing him in, which he does do. He questions him multiple times, but I'm just like, dude, just arrest him. You got cause, you got motive, like the will. Like, come on.
Yeah, you got all these things on him.
Like, I understand why. I mean, cops arrest people for less. Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
I feel like it's also he's like really rich. Basically, like they're really hammering it on that he's a really rich, powerful guy, basically. And it appears like from the outside that he's unstable and killing people, right?
Yeah, he's kind of got crazy eyes.
Yeah, he does have those crazy. So it seems like he's a kind of like an unstable kind of character, and so it's there needs to be a triangulation to take him out because if you mess up, he may just bounce, never come back. Or
That's true. He's probably McBain's probably waiting until he has like all arrows are kind of pointing to him. He wants the big red one that's just like yes,
exactly.
So if he does call his lawyer, you don't have to like worry too much.
Exactly. Yeah, and so then the detective brings up, oh yeah, remember that guy Tom Jones? Well, he's dead. He's dead too.
Everybody's dropping dead around you.
And he says that Tom Jones gave them a statement saying, "Oh, he did it," and then he's just dead.
And yet he still doesn't get it. Although I'll save that for the end because I feel like my theory as to why he doesn't get arrested might blow the rest of it. So I will save that.
Yeah. Cool. So Douglas, he's like, okay, I got to figure out what this message was. So he jacks back into the system. He goes back into the simulation, not the Matrix, into the simulation.
Matrix.
Yeah. I like when I was watching this. I was like, okay, he's going back in the Matrix. Like,
That's what's like. I kind of feel bad. I don't know which came out first, the Matrix or this movie, but I feel like either or. This movie got buried underneath the Matrix. Buried.
Yeah, it did. Well, what's funny? To be honest, like, and this is another thing. When you study, it's really honestly the history of anything. Like, being first never actually really matters unless you capitalize on it. It's being the first best to do it, because like someone could have invented the wheel long before someone, but if you didn't know what to do with a wheel, like, it doesn't matter if you created a wheel. You got to know, okay, I make a wheel and then I put something on it and then I move stuff faster. That's the point of a wheel.
And a lot goes into promoting a movie. If a studio isn't that thrilled about the product they've been given, they won't market it properly. That's why a lot of good movies sometimes fail at the box office, because the studio's just like, we're not going to give you as much money as the Tom Cruise movie that's not nearly as good. So I feel like if this movie wasn't marketed well enough, I mean, I don't know, but if it wasn't marketed as well as, say, The Matrix, it was kind of doomed to fail. And studios will do that on purpose, whether it's for a personal grudge against the director, or they just are like, it's not, because fucking producers don't know shit about movies most of the time. So they're just like, boobs. It didn't have boobs. Don't give it a poster.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
I mean, and to be fair, The Matrix is definitely the best of all of this genre of films.
That's the thing. Like, we can kind of wish that the 13th Floor maybe would have had more success, but at the end of the day, we still know that the Matrix just did it better. It just did.
Exactly.
Sequels not included. I haven't seen the third one. I hate the second. I hate the second film so much. That should have been direct to video. But the first movie, it is what it is. I remember when we rented it, we watched it like twice in one night. My parents were blown away, especially my dad. Like, was just blown away by it. Like, it was everyone was talking about it at church.
Totally, at church.
At church, everyone was talking about this movie. And the last movie that struck my church that hard was Braveheart. So, like, it was a big deal. Like,
it's taking all of the tropes of this genre, the altered reality, questioning your reality. What can you do if you start, like, what can you do if you start to, like, understand that, things aren't real, the power that you can gain. It takes all those things, it just does them really well, and it makes it really palatable, and it makes it understandable. Like, that's why, to me, when I see him go into the world, like, he's going into the Matrix, like, and it just, boom, it clicks. It's like, this is what the fake world is like. And it just did that better than every other film. It just did it really, really well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because, like, even Dark City was made before The Matrix, but it came out, I think, maybe a year before. It was like basically kind of like around the same time. And I think Dark City is pretty good, but it just doesn't hit on the same level, right?
No, and at the end of the day, it's very similar, but it's also, its endings are very, very different. Like, the ending to Dark City, I don't think anybody was just like, what the heck? They're in space?
Yeah.
Are they in space? Yes, they're in space.
And they're on a flat Earth, too.
And they're on a flat Earth as well. So what the hell? But on top of that, like, The Matrix also just has, like, a more hopeful ending too.
It does, yeah.
Which is kind of refreshing, which is why I never really thought it needed I feel like you can watch The Matrix and be like, yeah, that's one good movie. You don't need to know anymore. And it ends with him flying away after leaving a message of hope to whoever's out there who wants to know the truth. Like, that's cool. Like, that's neat. Like, hey, he can fly. But, yeah.
Yeah, we don't get any flying in this movie.
No, not really, no.
So, all right. So, yeah. So he goes back into the Matrix, or the simulation, whatever we want to call it. And, okay, this is fun. So he's like, so this is another really good anachronism that they did. So he's at a dance competition. So are you familiar with like these Depression era dance competitions?
Vaguely, probably only from watching other movies of that time period that came out then. That's what the young
to be honest, it is messed up. It's messed up. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. They did this great movie, They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Is about a Depression era dance competition. And really it's just some inhumane shit. I mean, that's just the most succinct way to put the reality of these things. They made people dance until they couldn't anymore for money.
Oh, that's horrible.
Like,
that is horrible.
Yeah. They made people dance until they couldn't anymore for money. People were so desperate because of the depression that they just did it. And they did it for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and they made a whole thing out of it for entertainment. So it's super messed up. But that's why I think just that movie, They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Just like kind of nails just like how messed up it can be when you make people that desperate, what you're gonna have them do, the crab in a barrel mentality kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like I found that funny that he then he just bounced. He immediately got into his avatar and he left, and then she was mad. So I thought. Well,
I mean, her reaction kind of makes a lot more sense now when you think about it, because maybe she's not gonna be able to eat now.
She's not. Yeah, exactly. She was hoping they were gonna win so she could actually get some money to eat.
It's actually really sad.
Yeah, it's super sad. Yeah. So then Douglas finds it's not Hannon, it's Grierson, right? Yeah. Grierson, his the other avatar or whatever. And Grierson's like, oh, I wake up all the time smelling like strange women. I don't understand why. And he's like,
I know why.
And he's like, the guy who goes into your body is banging chicks down here.
By the way, I would just like to add, and I tweeted about this, that when Douglas, I think, tells Whitney or someone, oh yeah, he was going into the game and having sex with women, everyone is so shocked by it. I'm like, really? You're shocked by the fact that someone would use a hyper-realistic virtual reality game to have sex with its characters?
Yeah, to have sex without any like strings attached.
I found that to be very innocent and naive.
Yeah, feels like the first thing that would happen, basically, right?
Right.
Honestly, it feels like that's why the technology would be made.
Literally, that's why it exists, guys. Like that's.
And then everything else would just be tertiary.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, these hyper realistic robots that I see, like talking and like making eye contact and moving around, who look like kind of look like Drew Barrymore. I'm like, yeah, someone's gonna have sex with that. Sorry,
Drew Barrymore.
Like,
oh yeah.
Like that's gonna happen. That's the only reason why they exist.
Exactly.
And it'll be why they kill everyone.
Yeah. They're just tired of. It's like someone brought up like the Star Wars droids, how the droids are just treated. Well, so yeah, someone was talking about Pokemon too, like kind of the same way, like how these things are just treated as, because like Pokemon is about, oh, let me go catch this thing and then force it to fight another animal. Basically.
No, I feel the same way.
I'm a trainer.
Droids. Yeah, I feel exactly. It's after I watched Solo, a Star Wars story. I forget the robot's name in that, but they just mercilessly kill droids all the time in Star Wars, and I just like they torture them in Jabba's palace. They feel pain
for fun,
and I don't know. It's kind of disturbing to me in a lot of ways because like if they didn't feel pain, or emotion, then it would be kind of different. But like C-3PO is a highly emotional being. Like he's sentient.
It's L337 is the one you're talking about.
Thank you. I liked L3 too. And the same with the droid in The Mandalorian. Like he literally sacrifices himself. He is conscious enough to be aware that if he sacrifices himself, he will die, and he still makes that choice.
Yeah,
they kill a lot of droids in Star Wars. I don't like it.
Yeah, they do. It's sad.
Droid rights.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so then the two of them, Grierson and I guess Douglas Hall and his avatar, they go into this bar, this high-class bar, and they're like, "Oh, hey!" And then some woman says something to him, to Grierson, like, "Oh, I'll be right with you, honey," or something. Remember that?
Yeah, like she knows him, and he's like,
"What?"
And
she gives him like a massive kiss with like a big, like, she leaves a big red mark on his face. It's really funny. And then Grierson remembers that he gave the note to the bartender. And then and so then Douglas goes after Ashton, and they have this whole kind of thing. He's like, "Yeah, I read the letter, and it told me to go to the end of the thing, and then and just to drive as far as I could, and then when I see a stop sign, just run it over and keep going." And I got there, and at the end, it was a simulation. And what do you think of this like end of the world? Like where it's like you see the Matrix, right?
I thought it was kind of cool, honestly.
It's cool, yeah.
I thought it was actually really, really cool, and that's
like in the poster, though, right? It's like the poster.
I don't know actually if it's in the poster or not. But it's. I kind of feel bad for Ashton because he does just want to know the truth, and he's having an existential crisis, like, and I don't know if that was. I feel like Fuller was very naive to just assume that curiosity wouldn't exist to the avatars, and maybe that was his flaw. Maybe that was he had this god complex that his simulation avatars, these characters, would just stay dumb and naive and simple. But Ashton clearly has some kind of curiosity, and he can lie, and now he's having an existential crisis, which makes him very, very dangerous.
Yeah, he's super dangerous, and
I liked that awakening moment, that almost rebirth.
Yeah, it's cool. And then he, they're talking about what are they talking about? Yeah, like what he saw. And one of the things I really like, so this is another, this movie does the I guess what I would call the noir tropes really well, I would say. So they end up at this pool, and
I loved that pool.
Yeah, that stuff is really cool. That
was so cool looking.
That's a period kind of thing. So had at the time they had pools that Art Deco style, really cool.
There was one that was similar in Dark City too. There's a pool scene in that.
Yep, there's a pool scene in that. Yeah, that's a I guess you could call it a trope actually of that genre.
I would agree. Just because it's so unique.
It's so distinct, and it's not that, and it's not around anymore.
It's not around anymore. I think it'll probably make a comeback just because of how unusual it is, and it is very beautiful. It's like a lot of drapery in that pool scene in the 13th floor, built into the columns, and it's just so unique, so beautiful. And that's why I think a lot of movies like using it to make something when they're making a movie about something that's unusual or a different kind of reality. It's just neat.
So this guy, James Pond, No Time to Cry, who's a fan of our show, wants to know why we took a break.
Life, dude.
Yeah, we exactly.
I got some shit.
We've been busy, but we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back, and we're making content for you. And the Truman Show. You liked our discussion of the Truman Show. It seems like. See people watching the Truman Show. Yeah, I honestly feel like with the Truman Show, because I saw this really cool. There's this really cool, very easily addictive video on YouTube. They did a series of them where they compare. Basically, what the whole video is about is they use a 3D simulator to compare the size of certain objects, fictional objects. And of course, the first one they did was starships, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it compared all these starships to see which one was the biggest of all the different fictional universes. And then that one, I think you'd really like that one, because there's Star Trek stuff, and there's Battlestar Galactica stuff, and there's other stuff like Halo. Then they did one where they just compared like basically structures or buildings, and I believe the largest thing in all of the fictional structures. So the two that really kind of surprised me. So like the pyramid building in Blade Runner is like really, really big, actually. It's like really, really, really big relative to other things. It's like one of the biggest things. Like it's way bigger than what we think of it when we see the shots of it, basically. And actually the largest one, I believe the largest one in that series that they did was the building that housed the Truman Show.
Yeah, it was like a giant dome
It was a giant dome.
Yeah, it was a really, really big dome.
It's a massive dome.
Yeah.
So like it was its own world. And like when you think about that, yeah, it's like, oh, so that was owned by some corporation. You think they're just gonna let that lapse?
Because people want rights? No.
No. They're gonna jack someone right back into it.
Oh yeah, they're just gonna get another unwanted baby, because that's what Truman was. He was an unwanted baby. They picked him for whatever reason. I forget the reason why they picked Truman as a baby. I think there was some like egotistical, narcissistic Ed Harris response.
Yeah, Ed Harris, yeah. Mm-hmm. Who has a God complex?
Oh, massive God complex.
God complex.
He's just gonna pick another baby, like, or they'll
you know what they're gonna do. Like, look, if they made me the head of the showrunner, like we know what the next thing they're gonna do. You get a boy, you get a girl.
Why just do one?
Yeah, you get a boy, you get a girl, and then
love each other, like a love story.
Well, not even just like love each other, just like they're one of them, they're the boy, they're the girl next door. They grew up next to each other, separate families right across the street, and and then it's just a will he or won't he, will they get together or not? And that's like and that's years of content.
Yeah, and every time they think they're falling for somebody else, they interfere, which is what happened with Truman.
Exactly. Yeah, and so you have the boy, the Kennedy. I'm gonna call him that, Kennedy. You have Kennedy go off, and then he goes to college, and they go to a separate college. But then one of them, you force him to drop out, you make him depressed or something, and then they meet up back at home or something. Just like it just writes itself, right?
Oh yeah, it totally writes itself. Nobody has to do anything except control the environment. That's literally, the actors in the Truman Show have the easiest job in the world. Discourage him and encourage him discourage him as much as possible and encourage him to do the opposite of everything he wants to do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's literally all they have to do.
Yeah. So so this is, by the way, so like, back to the plot of this movie. So like so the timer broke. The get me out of the Matrix timer broke, so he can't get out. And then he gets in the situation with Ashton where Ashton's drowning him in this pool.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that's because clearly he can feel pain in the simulation, because he gets shot. Douglas gets shot a couple of times.
Get shot, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder if it's one of those things where if you die in the Matrix, you die in real life, or maybe it's because like your body's reacting to it on the outside. It might give him a heart attack or something because he believes it is real.
I feel like they have. We can talk about that. We're getting really close to the fun part of this movie, and we can kind of talk about. It seems like there's an idea that they present here about what can or can't happen to people. Like I guess what I would say is you can go up or down the chain.
Okay.
Of simulations, if something happens. But yeah, it seems like you do feel pain, but they never explicitly show us. That's a rule that they never show us what happens explicitly if you were to die in the simulation. Which
just raises the suspense a little bit more, honestly, for the audience. Because if you don't know, you're like, oh shit, like maybe he's really gonna die. Yeah,
maybe he's gonna die. But then Whitney gets him out of the simulation before he drowns. And he's like, dude, the people living in that simulation, they're real. They have free will. They have free thoughts. They're acting totally independently. They're not automatons.
They're not following a storyline anymore.
Yeah. And Whitney's like, what? That's crazy. And so then Doug, he goes looking for Jane Fuller, he finds her working at a convenience store, and she like has no idea who he is. And oh yeah, by the way, he's not the daughter. She's not the daughter of Hannah Fuller, and so it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, McBain dropped that little like bomb on him.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, he doesn't have a daughter. Dun dun
dun
dun.
dun. Yeah. So Doug had gone into the simulation to figure out what was on the note. He tried to get the note, but then the note fell into the pool and kind of got destroyed. But he knew what the note said. So the note said, hey, drive to the edge. You'll see that we're in a simulation. So he does that in his world. He goes to the edge. And he's in a simulation. So he's in the simulation of a simulation. So he's in a simulation, and he can then go into the next level lower, which is another simulation within their simulation.
Yep.
It's like, what?
What? My life is a lie.
And so then just to go on top of this, so then he talks to Jane, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? Who are you? What's going on? And at some point we see someone go into her body, a user go into her body, or whoever she is, Natasha, something, I don't know. Whoever she is. And so then she's like, okay, so yeah, this is a simulation. My husband was your user, so he went into your body. My husband went into your body and killed Fuller. So it's like, whoa, so I'm the killer, but I'm the killer because someone went into my body and controlled me. It's crazy. And so then meanwhile, Jason Whitney, he's like, okay, I gotta go into the Matrix. I gotta go in. I gotta see what's going on. He goes in, and he's in Ashton's body, and he's like in a car, and he's driving, and it's really raining outside, and then he like kind of basically crashes the car. And then the police kind of pull him over, and they're like, hey, what are you doing? You need to be careful. And then like you hear something beating on the trunk, and the cop's like, well, open your trunk right now, right? Let me show what's in your trunk. And so what is it? So Douglas's avatar is in the trunk, and he's like beat up. Yeah. So he didn't kill him, he didn't drown him, he just beat him up and put him in the trunk of the car.
But Whitney's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's like, whoa, what have I been up to? And then so something happened. I forget what happened, but something happens so that he then goes back out of the simulation.
He steps out into traffic and gets hit by a truck.
He's hit by a truck,
which throws him out of that simulation.
Yeah.
But Ashton is now conscious?
Yeah, this is the thing. So it's kind of implying that when you die, you go up in the simulation. But whoever is... So basically what it's saying is if you die in a simulation and a user is controlling you, the user's consciousness dies and the simulation goes into the higher up person's body. Because then Ashton controls Jason Whitney's body at that point. And
it seems like a real Jason fun program.
Yeah. And Jason Whitney seems like he's gone. And so then we get this whole thing between Douglas and Ashton, who's in Jason Whitney's body. And he's like, hey, this is your world. And he's like watching television or some shit.
Yeah, he's like blown away by TV.
Yeah, he's like blown away by TV and all this stuff. Like there's so many simulators, there's so many different worlds. And he's just like totally blown away. So he takes him to the 13th floor, which is the server room. And yeah, a whole bunch of other kind of crazy shit happens basically. This is sort of like we've come to the end now. So we know the killer was the husband in Douglas's body. Everything is a simulation, but we just don't know like when does the simulation end, pretty much.
Yeah, and she kind of implies that her husband was murdering a whole bunch of people. Like not just Greer, not just Fuller, but like a bunch of people were like he was just addicted to killing the avatars or something.
Yeah, that's why he would go into the simulations just to kill people. Like that was his thing. That's how he got off. And then in the end, we get this kind of standoff between like, I guess the husband in the body of Douglas and
he's trying to kill her.
The wife. Yeah, he's trying to kill her, and he's trying to rape her and all this other crazy, horrible shit. And then the detective shows up like right in time, takes him out, shoots Douglas, kills, I guess, which then kills the husband. And then the detective is like, yeah, just leave us alone down here or whatever.
Yeah, I like how the detective totally is just fine
like
with it. He's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I think that is the rule of what happens when you die. So if you're a user in someone's body and you die, the other personality goes into your body up the stream.
Okay.
Because that's what happens to Douglas goes into David's body. And he wakes up and it's the year 2024 and he sees the real world and like, Jane's like, oh, hey, we're in the real world now, blah, blah, blah. And like he sees, I guess, Hannon Fuller, basically.
Yeah,
out there on the beach.
Dad, but he's not an inventor or something like that. She just uses his template, basically. Yeah,
exactly. And so he's supposedly in the real world now, or at least he's in a better world. Let's put it that way.
We hope.
Yeah. And we kind of get a little slightly ambiguous ending. Like it's like a TV screen turning off. And that's the movie. So yeah, interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah, if I was Douglas, I would not trust her one iota. Like I don't.
Yeah.
How does he know he's actually in the real world now? There's no way of proving it. Because these characters can bleed, they can feel pain, they have free will. It could all just be an illusion. And she even says at one point there are realities stacked on top of other realities within the simulations.
Yeah.
So
it's sort of impossible to know, which I think is the point, right?
Yeah, I totally don't begrudge the movie. Yeah. I'm so glad they did that because it definitely makes us ask questions like this so we can think about the movie and ponder it and stuff like that. But yeah, if I was him, I'd be like, I'd be on edge the whole freaking time.
So I guess we should talk. What do you think about the twist? Did you see it coming? Did you like it? What did you think of it?
Given the material that we had going, I was like, it could be or it couldn't be. It was gonna go either way. I mean, Ashton realizing he's in his own little, virtual reality isn't all that surprising. But how does that really affect Doug in the end? At the end of the day, it doesn't really. I mean, it does because it has really a lot of implications. But seeing that it's one on top of the other is interesting. I liked it. Yeah. I liked it. It was good.
I liked it.
I'm sure when people first saw it, they probably didn't see it coming. I mean, maybe they did.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it kind of it made this film interesting to me. And it kind of separated it. Because because like even, think about like Dark City, right? Like Dark City, there's a similar thing, and it comes at I think a similar point in the film where you realize that their whole world is, it's literally flat.
Mm-hmm. Literally just flat. Which again, this is like Dark City has like that flat Earth kind of thing going for it, and then the 13th Floor has that it's all a simulation conspiracy thing going. Which again, dude, if you think you're living in just a conspiracy theory, why do you, or in a virtual reality where nothing's real, why do you keep going to work? Why do people keep having babies? Why do you keep living your life? I mean, maybe there is one guy who's totally
just rage quit it.
Up. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we are. Maybe we're not.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, that's become a very popular kind of thing.
I'm pretty sure we're not.
Yeah. I don't think it matters either way, honestly. It doesn't change how we live our lives. That's for sure. True. Cool. Yeah, I like this movie. I thought it was cool. I do feel like some of the casting wasn't perfect, but like I guess that's just what we're stuck with what this movie. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I liked the noir aspects of it. I thought that was really cool. I liked that this film is pretty much two noir films stacked on top of each other. One a modern noir and one a classic noir. That's really cool. That's a cool idea, I think.
The parallels really complement each other a lot.
Yeah. I really like that as an idea. and I thought the twist was cool. Yeah, I like this movie. I'm glad we watched it.
Me too.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, very kind of like, I can see why this is kind of like an underrated movie, an underwatched movie. Because it's, again, there are films that do what this film's trying to do, but better. But if you wanna go really deep into the genre, this is a good film to watch.
Yeah, and I think it would probably be a good starting point for someone too. Like, and I know this is probably going to sound really silly, but like, I really appreciate the runtime. I feel like they could have made this movie incredibly long with a lot of exposition and a lot of just like
really trying to explain stuff.
Yeah. Oh my god. Sorry, 1 second.
It's all right.
Oh shit, where'd it go?
Oh.
Okay, so there's a spider somewhere.
Oh, it got away.
Yeah, it got away. I'm just gonna scoot forward a little bit.
Okay. All right.
But yeah,
cool.
I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
I would watch it again, honestly.
I had fun with this film. Yeah, cool. All right, I think that covers everything that we probably would want to talk about for this week. Yeah, thanks to everyone who joined. This has been really fun. Good to get back at it. Maybe we'll see if there's another late 90s kind of alternate reality movie we can watch.
Oh, there's gotta be. One thing I'm curious about is like what were foreign films doing from dealing with the same concept? Because it couldn't have just been American audiences and American people who were like wondering how the internet was going to affect everybody's lives.
That's a great question. I remember there's some Japanese horror movie. They basically did like this is a bad version, but like Fear.com. They did a movie kind of like that, like, but like good, basically. Like stuff from the internet killing people. I think that was one take on it. But yeah, that's something to look into. See what the foreign version of this kind of stuff is. Cool. Yeah. Any other last thoughts?
Not really. Go ahead and watch it. It's definitely worth your time. The runtime is something that I really appreciate. Again, I feel like they could have made this movie twice as long, and they didn't. Yeah. They say everything they need to say, but they also leave it very open-ended for you to ask questions and to think about it for a while. It doesn't stay with you in a bad way. It stays with you in a I wonder how that works kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And they tell you just enough about the technology and just enough about the simulation that, again, you can kind of, project what you want onto it as well.
Yeah, totally. All right, cool. Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, thanks again, everybody, for stopping by, and have a good one. May the force be with you.
Live long and prosper.